Mr. Kitty. These are way too small for my head. They kind of look like Morpheus's glasses, which were weirdly sitting on his face, but he didn't have these on them. He would just pick them up by this, and alright. Now the second one, like I was saying before, fix your balding hair. It's definitely too far with the philosophy, way too far. Even when I was a young bab of like 14 or so, I was seeing this around my 14th birthday when it came out, which just made me really nostalgic. That was one of my favorite summers! My friends and I were like making videos, playing dumb things, and get back to Matrix! Your videos will never be less than 40 minutes at this rate. That's why we split them up. Right, philosophy. Even seeing it in the theater as a kid, I was like, damn, this is going way too far into philosophy. Like, they're trying too hard. Like, we get it. It's like they got it right the first time, and then, I don't know, got cocky, and then it just kinda, they were like, yeah, we can do this, we know things, and just went nuts. But really, I think it was more that they had to make the first one acceptable to studios, and then they're like, alright, we're in! Fucking shove this down their throats. But they go into, like, I'm just gonna fucking read it, I don't remember this list. You go into causality, purpose, choices, like whether or not they're predetermined, or you actually make them, control. And I remember the last one because I just looked at it, fate. And honestly, out of all those, because that's a lot to fucking try in a movie. And you know, they gloss over a lot of it for as hard as they try to be philosophical. The first three, causality, purpose, and what was it, choices? Being predetermined, they just kind of just gloss right over that. Like, they talk to a French dude who likes to wipe silk with his ass. He's a program that's gone rogue, because they established that in this, that there are also programs within the Matrix that know where they are. Well, all the programs do, but they're just like, we don't want to be part of the Matrix, we want to do what we want. And one of them dons a French accent because he loves French, because it's like, swearing in it is like wiping your ass with silk. And he decides that life is about causality. I don't fucking... Apparently, and that makes him feel powerful. He writes a cake program that this girl eats and it makes her orgasm. Just because somehow that proves causes? He's like, cause was the pie cake thing and effect was this. Like, okay, things happen, they're called consequences. I don't know why this makes him feel like he controls humans more. Maybe I missed something and I'm smooth-brained? I mean, probably, at least half. And like, purpose, they get into because Smith is all upset that his purpose was offset when Neo infected him in the first movie. And at the same time, he's happy it freed him, but he still wants Neo dead. Because he's like, you ruined my purpose. What is purpose? And then the Oracle, who they meet for the first time in this movie, she's another program that just like knows things, even things outside the real world, in the real world. She's telling people like, I know things because you came here with the choice already made, and I guess with them all being plugged into the Matrix, she can read all that shit. But she would know what people were gonna do because their choices were already made, and they weren't coming to her to find out what they needed to do. They were coming to her to understand the choices their brain meat was already making. Which is really weird, because it's basically just saying, you don't choose anything, which has kind of been proven. There was an experiment that showed your subconscious sort of knows what you're going to do before you do it. Like, the experiment was hitting a light before you choose it. And there was like a red and a blue one, and the blue one would always, whatever one they wanted to hit would go off before they actually wanted to hit it. And they were like, eh! It was funny. And scary. They don't really get into those first three. Even though I just delved into it a lot, they don't. I explained more of it than they did. They kind of, this is almost like one-liners just go into each of those. The others they get more into. There's like a councilman or some shit that talks to Neo about control, and he's like, machines control us up there. Down here in the city, we control these machines, but what is control? I mean, these machines give us all of our heat and everything, and Neo's like, well, we can just shut them off. We can't do that with the ones up there. The councilman's like, yeah, but then you get half-life, full-life consequences. We don't have anything if we shut them off, so do we really have anything? And then Fate, I mean, that's just a whole... They're just leaning more into Neo being the one and everybody doing their purpose and what they were made for. They run into a keymaker dude to try and help them get to the guy that built the Matrix, the program, I should say. Everybody's just like, we're doing what we're supposed to do. Our purpose, this is our fate. This is what was meant to happen. So they kind of really lean more into that. And really, choice is kind of... Control and choice in this movie seem to be questioned significantly, with destiny being implied as... almost like what Thanos says. I'd go get my mask, but I don't want it. Destiny has arrived. Thanos mask. It's not. Fuck it. And the pacing. I mean, I already said there's a lot of philosophical bullshit, so you can imagine with that comes terrible pacing, because it's not as drawn out as I remember as a Bab, but when the Frenchman, I forget his name, it's something weird, of course it is, he goes on for like what feels like 10 minutes about causality, and then there's a party scene in the beginning, because they find out the robots in the real world are coming to attack the last human city. And Morpheus gets on stage and is like, hey, don't be afraid, we're gonna win. We've been doing this for 100 years. Which they find out has been a little bit longer, I think. Because they find out they're actually on their like 6th iteration of this whole cycle of rebellion and having a one come out and save them, but I'll get to that. The party scene though, where Morpheus is saying don't be afraid, that drags on. There's sex going on, or like I don't know, it feels like a big fucking orgy, and I was bored then, way back when I first saw it, and I'm zoned out during it yesterday. Did not need to be as long. Just end it after the speech. Show them partying and sexing it up for a minute. Everybody's jerking it or some shit and move on. Isn't that what they do at orgies? Good thing I mentioned the 6th iteration thing. That's next on my list, which I haven't entirely been going off of. Look at me being semi-smart Dippy, semi-bald Dippy. So they find out they're on their 6th time with the Matrix, and even Neo as the One is a part of this whole thing. The Architect and the Oracle used to be together and decided, you know, I need to hydrate more. That's what they decided. They decided that, well, in the beginning there was a really perfect world made to like placate the humans while they're being batteries, but it was too perfect. Humans are used to strife and need that. They even mention it in the first movie, because they kind of hint at the whole cycle thing in the first one and really tell you how it is in the second. But the humans sensed it was wrong because everything was too perfect, so they kept rebelling, and the world crashed and just didn't work, because humans are like, what? I'm not miserable? I'm not in thousands of dollars of debt, and we're not constantly killing each other in wars? That's not right, we're in a simulation. And they had to make one like early 2000s Earth, basically, and everyone's like, ah, that's more like human life on Earth. Just pure shit. And it worked. Well, 5 times prior it worked for a bit, and then a One would show up, and his whole purpose was literally to show up, and he has like some code in him that helps reset things once he gets to the source of the Matrix, and basically the Matrix just keeps rebooting, which is why the second one's probably called Reloaded. The third one should have been called Rebooted. Lazy name. No, 4th one is... but they don't really get into how defeating that is to find that out. Morpheus is just kind of like, I'm sad now, this sucks. And everybody's questioning it, but... questioning their fate and whatnot, and how, if anything, matters anymore, but they don't really get too far into that. The movie almost just ends when this is all found out. And it's also still, I think I said this before, it's not really gone into why Neo, yeah, I said it in the beginning, before the movie breakdown. Smith, I didn't spend 20 minutes telling the plot of each movie like I always do, so I'm a little confused on what I'm even talking about. Smith hating Neo, though, is not really it's not really gone too far into. Like, that's something they should have looked at a lot more in this series, and they just